The Dodgers' longest winning streak since 1976, that finally came to a close Sunday. But even with the disappointing loss to the Royals, they're still the best team in baseball. Dodgers winning 12 in a row, just one shy of their franchise record. They are now 79-34 on the season, 16 games better than the Padres in the NL West and 5 games better than anyone else in the entire league. Taking a look at the latest power rankings there when it comes to Major League Baseball from our very own Matt Snyder. You can see the full at CBSSports.com. Dodgers still sitting in at number 1, especially with the Yankees struggling, now losing 9 of their past 11. Yankees now down to number 5. Mets still cruising at number 2. They've been able to stave off the Braves, but are opening a 4-game series versus them tonight. All right, let's welcome in Matt Snyder, the guy behind the power rankings here. Let's start with the Dodgers. A weird game against the Royals, tied season low with just 2 hits, but even the best teams have flukes, and this could very well be their 4th appearance in the World Series in 6 years. Dodgers still cruising in at number 1.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sunday's kind of irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. They've built up so much credit there. It's actually kind of nice on a personal level to not even have to think about number 1, just mindlessly slot them at number 1 and then move on to 2 through 4 or 2 through 5 now. But look, in the last 40 games, the Dodgers are 34-6. So they're just completely throttling the rest of the league right now. And I think probably the most ridiculous thing about that is they're not even fully healthy. Walker Buehler's been hurt for a while. We aren't sure if he's going to be back for the playoffs, but it looks like he might return at some point in September. Clayton Kershaw's hurt right now. They've got Blake Trinan and Brusdar Graterol on rehab assignments that would beef up the bullpen. And also, everybody remember Dustin May. He had to have Tommy John surgery in May of 2021. He's also on the comeback trail. So they're the best team in the league by far, and they have reinforcements on the way.
All right, so you didn't have to think about number 1. I don't know if you really had to think about number 2 there. The Mets, the second best record in baseball behind the Dodgers. I will mention, look, they're going on a 10-game road trip here against the Braves, the Phillies, and the Yankees, so they're really about to be tested. But things are going very well for the Mets right now, especially getting Jacob deGrom back.
Very well. And I did have to think about it. I mean, they're kind of neck and neck with the Astros, and I know the Astros swept them, but that was a long time ago. And right now the Mets are on a different level than they were a couple months ago. Look, Max Scherzer is firing on all cylinders right now. They got Jacob deGrom back, and I can't believe I'm going to say this about a 3-time Cy Young winner who probably should have won the MVP one of those years, but he actually looks better than ever. It's ridiculous. Hopefully his elbow and shoulder hold up the rest of the year, because it's a joy to watch him pitch right now. And it's not just those two. Chris Bassett, who you just saw on the screen there, is throwing the best that he's thrown all year. Carlos Carrasco gives him a huge 1 through 4. They'd be able to push Taijuan Walker to the bullpen there in front of Edwin Diaz, who is having the best year of any closer in baseball. Alonso is an MVP candidate. Francisco Lindor has been amazing of late and is moving into down ballot MVP consideration. Dan Vogelbach is as the left-handed portion of a DH platoon looks great. Everything is going good for the Mets right now. They've won 17 of 20.
Edwin Diaz got his 200th save of his career over the weekend as well. Let's talk about the Yankees here. If you would like to try to fix the Yankees, look, Aaron Judge may be chasing home run history here. They have lost 9 of their past 11. They are 11-20 in their past 31 games. What is going on with this Yankees team?
Well, the one thing I would say about Aaron Judge is there's only so much he can do. He's been as good as he's been all season, maybe better in that stretch, and he's just not getting the help. Giancarlo Stanton's hurt right now. Anthony Rizzo in a bit of a downturn period. He did have some of those back issues resurface. Again, there's only so much one guy can do in a lineup when he can only bat once every 9 times. It's an argument we've been making for Mike Trout for years and years and years. Like when people are like, oh, why are the Angels so bad when Trout's so good? Well, you were seeing it right now with the Yankees and Judge. There's only so much he can do. The rotation earlier in the year was probably way better than they should have been. That's coming back to earth a little bit. The bullpen's been kind of a mess. They lost Chad Green and Michael King earlier in the year for the season. They've been trying to shuffle to make up for that. But one thing they could always count on was Clay Holmes. He was amazing for the first half of the season. He's completely fallen apart. They did get some reinforcements at the trade deadline, and Scott Efros, who closed down the game on Saturday and got the save there, and Lou Trevino. But it's still just, they don't look the same as that team in the start of the year. The good news is They built themselves up so much credit with that double-digit lead in the East. That's not going away. They are going to win the division. They're going to get a bye. So they have until about the second week of October to figure things out. But they better, or they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, and you want that momentum going into the postseason, not feeling super bad about yourselves. Let's pop over to the AL Central. Guardians now have a 2.5 game lead over both the Twins and the White Sox in that division. They've been one of those surprise teams this season. They're also the only team in that division with a winning record against teams that are over 500. Guardians up 6 spots to number 9 in your power rankings. But I guess the question is, can they keep it up?
In this division, probably. I mean, they're not going to have a tough schedule the rest of the year. They've been really up and down. And one thing that they went through, I believe it was May, they had more rainouts than anybody else, and they already had to play a bunch of doubleheaders from the games that we had to push back due to the lockout. They could never really get in a groove at the start of the season just because of how weird their schedule was. They had one week where they didn't even play Wednesday through Saturday, but they had like a doubleheader on Tuesday and then a doubleheader on Sunday. It was just weird the way that they were forced to play. It feels like now they're finally getting into a groove here behind Bieber in the rotation. And Tristan McKenzie as well has been really good. Emmanuel Clase at the end of that bullpen has been probably the best closer in the American League. Jose Ramirez is the star of that lineup, but, you know, Rosario and Jimenez up the middle as well. Those are the two guys they got back for Francisco Lindor. They are both having breakout seasons. Josh Naylor's having a breakout season. And really, the Twins falling apart. The White Sox have been injured and pretty bad through most of the season. So it was kind of wide open for them. Let me lastly sing the praises of Terry Francona. He seems to be the linchpin here. He was out for a lot of last year with health problems. He does so much for that team, and he holds them together. He keeps them steady, and I think he's a big reason why they're getting high.
Let's go from the AL Central to the NL Central. The Cardinals lead that division. They swept the Brewers, who have now lost 8 of their past 12. Not going well for the Brewers. They're 1.5 games ahead of them in that division. Up to number 6 in your power rankings. Tell us about this Cardinals team.
Yeah, I thought they were a lot better than the Brewers for a long time. It was back in the middle of May when I did an odds check-in, and the Brewers had, I think, a 5-game lead over the Cardinals at the time, and I said, hey, bet heavily on the Cardinals. I think they're going to take this thing. 2 MVP candidates in Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt. They've got the whole feel-good Molina, Wainwright, Pujols going away parade. Pujols with 2 prodigious bombs yesterday, by the way. He looks as good as he has in 5 years. They've got the young blood between Nolan Gorman, Brendan Donovan, Juan Yepes, who's hurt right now, but he provided a spark earlier in the year. It's a really fun roster. The offense is really good. They needed the pitching to come around, which they added Jordan Montgomery and Jose Quintana in front of the trade deadline, a couple lefties there to kind of breathe some life into that rotation. The back end of the bullpen in front of Ryan Helsley is starting to come together. I expect they're going to win this division by 5 or 6 games. They look really, really tough right now, relatively speaking, because it is the NL Central. But hey, when you're in a weak division, all you can do is just take care of business, and that's what they're doing right now.
Matt Snyder, we appreciate it. By the way, you can see his full rankings at cbssports.com. There they come out every Monday. So taking a look at the MLB Power Rankings there, 1 through 10. Matt telling us, look, I didn't really have to think much about the top when it comes to the Dodgers. The Mets and the Astros a little bit tighter, though. Then you find the Braves, by the way, entering a 4-game series against the Mets, followed by the Yankees there. Taking a look at 11 through 20, do want to mention Toronto, Seattle, Tampa Bay. They are all vying for a wild card spot. You find them in this position there. Then 21 through 30. Do want to mention the Marlins. They were hot there for a second. They have now lost 13 of their last 16. Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.